She's going crazy now. Thanks so much for joining me here. Loretta, thanks for coming. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I thought we'd pull over to YouTube. Also, all of my camera and everything is set up to YouTube. So it is better for me to do it on here anyway. Um, so this is what you could actually see when I was running around the room here. This is the close-up version. So I hope you're enjoying the event so far. I just sat and watched the fox being done by Jennifer. It was beautiful. Um, I haven't actually got pan pastels, but it's something I've got my Carbothello pencils there. But I love pastels too, so it's something that I'll definitely look into later on. So, any questions before we get to the hair part? So, these are the images that I've done so far in uh, the new book here, and I've posted the link for the digital version in the comments. So if you're in the live chat, you can see the comments there. Hi Jen, thanks for coming. So if you would like to get the digital copy of the book, there's a link there. Also to the Facebook event is finishing, and I think there's only a little bit of time after I finish today. So, but you can go back and have a look at all the events that have happened so far. I've managed to watch a couple of the videos, so it's pretty exciting. There's been lots of good behind the scenes stuff. So, really exciting. All right, so I'm going to do the Frog Queen. I've already started. I decided to go with the non-black background. I've also printed it in a smaller sized image so that I can just do hair for you guys today. And I've already done the skin. Now, I usually wouldn't do the rest of the image until I'd finished the hair, so I actually haven't colored anymore. However, what I will do is after today's event, I'll put the rest together and I'll put it all together in a speed coloring so you can see that as well. All done up with the skin as well. So there's been lots of really pretty images. I've enjoyed every single one of these. And I've seen hundreds of beautiful images already come out. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about hair. First of all, hair combinations with Copics. So Copic markers, if you don't know, I'll just explain a little bit about them. I only have two types because I only like the brush tips, but there are the classic Copic markers, there's wide Copic markers as well. And then we've got Sketch and we've got the, I don't even know how to say this. I think it's CR or CO or CEO. I don't know. One of those. Tio. And they're both exactly the same. One's just larger than the other one. So this one here holds more ink and it lasts a little bit longer, and this one holds less ink and doesn't last as long. And also these sketch markers come in every single color. I think there's 368 colors. So there's a lot more variety in this one. So what I actually did was I collected all these littler ones first, and then when I started to when I finished collecting those, I started to then fill in with the other markers as well. Sometimes in some of the marker blends that I've used, I've had to actually buy the sketch with these ones as well because I wanted a specific blend and things like that. So yeah, but they're not really that hard to sort of figure out. Their number system's quite good too. We've got E for Earth, and 09 is the darkest color in the 0 section, so it goes from 1 to 9, or 0 to 9, sorry. And then you've got, so this one's YR, which is yellow red. One is so it's not the purest color, one is the next level up from the purest or down. And then obviously we've got a 6, so 0 to 6 again is your 0 to 9, sorry, is your color range. So this is in the mid range, so mid tones. So I wanted to talk a little bit about blends and different color blends. So a lot of hair that I've done, so for example these two here, this one's sort of more natural, this one's obviously more fashion color. So it depends on if you're after something with a fashion look or if you're after something with a natural look, and I tend to sort of just wing it. So I probably shouldn't say that, but I wing it. I sort of just look at the colors and think, all right, I want to do pink hair. So then I'll find the darkest sort of pink that I might have. So in this case, it would have been the RV69. And then that would be my start color. And then I just pick colors within the same, usually the same color, in the same range, and go down to a 7, a 5, a 2, or whatever, that kind of thing. Except when I don't, when I mix up colors, like doing black with a color or brown with a color and things like that. So I've actually got a mix here, which I love. There's quite a few markers in this one. You don't have to use them all, of course, but so I've got an E79, E77, E74, and E71. But I like to put sometimes pink through that because these are kind of pink. Then I've got, an orange mix. So I might use an earth tone, a dark earth tone first. I've actually got 2 earth tones in this mix because the E09 is a burnt sienna color and that one's the darkest, but it is a red brown. And then I go to it's actually called brown, ironically, but it's E08. And then I've actually swapped over to some orange colors, so yellow, red, 7, and then yellow, red, 6. And then I might put, say, a really pale highlight color. I'll re-explain it. I didn't realize that I actually speak so fast until Jen mentioned it yesterday during a video that I did of how to do a live video. So yeah, I'll slow down a little bit. So guys, this is a blonde mix. So with a blonde mix, you still need a shadow color. So I've just picked an E17, E55, E33. So they're all the paler sort of colors for blonde. So thanks guys. So markers. So, who was that? Let me just have a look. Tracy just said that markers seem intimidating. So I've been coloring for, I'm going to say on 3 years, just focusing mainly on coloring, and just started playing with watercolors recently. But I started with grayscale images, doing with pencils, just cheap pencils to start with. Then I brought myself some Polychromos pencils and played a bit more with grayscale. And then I did some online classes through Kit and Clatter. You guys might have heard of it. And then I actually got my first set of markers. And to tell you the truth, I can't believe that I waited so long to try them. I absolutely love them because I have arthritis in my fingers. It's really hard for me to do larger scale pencil images because, there's just so much detail, so much pressure that you put down on the paper and things like that. And I do get really sore hands from doing that. Whereas markers, I use no pressure. It's just, the movement is just basically that. So there's not a lot of, I guess, hard work that I need to do when I use markers. And also too, I think that people get sort of held back by how you hold them and how you should be putting it on the paper, but you just do what you feel comfortable. These marker nibs are so versatile and they really are, or take a lot of belting. So, as long as you're not extremely pushing down, directly on the tip, because you'll break the inside tip. But they really do sort of bend and mold. It doesn't matter how you use them, as long as you're not just sort of banging down on them, but you can be quite rough with them, which I really like because I'm fairly heavy-handed, which is something with pencils that it's a lot. There's a lot of technique involved in holding pencils and trying not to push down and break your pencils and things like that. Whereas markers, I find you don't need any of that, and you can use them how you want. So I've used them like fairly strict and formal, where they're just sort of lines going over other lines, and I've used them like a little bit like watercolors, where you just sort of push the marker nib down and you let the sort of color bleed out as well. So there's lots of different things that you can do with them, so they're not intimidating. My suggestion though is, if you're going to try them out, buy a set or a color blend so that you can use the whole blend rather than just a pink, a blue, and a green, if that makes any sense at all. So, by a color mix of at least 3 colors in that blend. So, say, for example, you were doing so hair, as I said, you might want to just pick, say, the E08, YR16, and YR12. So they're fairly sort of evenly spread out on the scale, and then you've got sort of a chance of having a nice blend between those colors. So that's the only thing that I probably would say, and also to buy the refills at the same time, because I have a lot of markers and gradually building up on my refills, but I find that as they're running out, I have to go get them. I think that if I had have brought refills at the same time, it would have been a little bit easier in the coloring process. So just to let you know that too. Now, people say that they're expensive. However, I find that because you can refill them over and over again, you don't have to keep replacing that one marker. So I know some markers don't have refills. When you run out, you then have to go and replace the whole marker, or you have to buy a whole set to get that color again. So this is what I like about Copics. Also, any open stock pencils or markers I would like. And also if they have refills for markers, even better. So any kind of questions there? I've got quite a few of you watching. So I just kind of wanted to put it to a little bit of a vote. I don't know what color to do this hair. So anyone got any suggestions? I was thinking I could do a fashion color. I don't have to do something natural. I was thinking, I was having a chat about these frogs. We were thinking I could do them green, but I quite like the idea of having red and black frogs. So we could do red or orange red. It would be. I can do that. That's fine. I think that's the only one. Red ginger. Yep. All right, let's do that. So they're the colors I actually had out before. Okay, so let's talk about why we need a color blend. Stay. So the reason that we have so many different colors in a blend is so that we can have some depth. So for example, on the skin, you've got your deep shadow areas, and then you've got your light shaded areas. So that's the same with hair. I think one of the girls did already today the hair video with pencils, and she was talking about highlights and things like that. So if we put the more depth that we put in those darker areas, the better the highlights will stand out, I guess, is the scenario. So I'm going to start with the E09 because it's a nice dark burnt sienna. Obviously, it's a dark red brown. And where would I put the shadows first? So we'll talk about that first. So the shadow areas would go anywhere where something is covering over. So for example, let's have a look at these layers of hair here. This top area of hair, these 3 sort of strands here, are actually coming over the top of this hair here in the background. So we would want to make sure that we put a shadow line in there. Also the frog sitting on the hair, so we'd put a small shadow line around that as well. We've got the crown up the top here, which would be laying over the hair here. So we're going to put a bit of a line up here and at the back there as well, and maybe here where the beads are sitting on the hair, because that's where you've got a shadow or something covering over that hair. Same down here, so this bit's covering over, so we will put a shadow behind there. I always put a shadow around the face here and a little bit around here as well, because that hair is laying over the top of the other strand there, so there'll be sort of dark shadow lines behind those areas. Down here is the same. So with the frog, we would go around him because he's going to leave a bit of a shadow on a face as well. So that's sort of how we start with the, shadows. So if we go, I might just do up here first. I hope you go, is that close enough? I think we've got a good light range there. I'm just going to go around these beads. So I'm just using the very tip of my marker for this part here. And I'm just doing a thin line to start with on the shadow areas. So I'm going to come back down here. So there, that hair's sitting behind. I'm just going to mark all the way up there. Like that. Coming behind this part here. So we're just sort of breaking it down into sections. Just here. The back there. I'll just go in a little bit for you. Just waiting for my camera program to load so I can do that for you. Okay. Oh. How's that? A bit better? I'm also going to do the eyebrows. I'm just going to do each side and along the bottom and just the corner edge, because this will be the same color as the hair. Well, generally. Might be a little bit darker if it's a blonde person, and it might actually be natural colored if they've got you know, fashion colored hair as well. You still might want to do their eyebrows a normal brown or a fashion color. It's up to you. So just going around the pearl down here and the froggy. Hello, Mr. Frog. So I've got a frog sharpener. My dad actually calls me Frog. Don't ask me where it came from, but that's my nickname. I think he said it's because I have a big smile, maybe. And they're cute. Okay, so I'm just starting now. These little lines that I've just done here, these are going to be my texture lines to show hair. So I'm just going to go and flick my marker out from those areas. Just like that, creating little lines. Hello, shadow. So just creating little lines from that area there and around. So this is going to be our strands of hair. So don't ask me how I video without her talking to me the whole time, because I don't know. It's a miracle. So you'll find that some areas are now starting to fill in, but that's okay because we want texture and depth. So I'm just going to come back from that side. So generally on a section of hair with this flicking motion, so let's call this a section of hair right here, I would do some flicks out from there. Just sort of flicking my marker, moving my fingers to do it. So I'll just show you my hand. I'm just sort of going like that to flick out. Or you could come back the other way if it's easier for you. So some people actually find it easier to turn their page around and go back the other way. So if this was my little section of hair, I've come back that way, and now I'm going to come back the other way. We don't want to go too far in, but we do want them to be varied lengths. So don't do them all too, so you can see they're all varied lengths there. If you do it all the same length, you're going to actually have a line in those areas, but we want them to blend out nicely and more naturally. So where Jennifer's already drawn in the lines of the hair, that's going to help you with those shadow areas and what's sitting behind and what's sitting in front. So this part here is actually going to be behind. So I'm going to start from this top section, flicking outwards and down, and then I'm going to come back up the other way. All right, so just fixing that one up. I need a few longer lines in there to bring that down a little bit further. Go that one. Now, in my experience, it is exactly the same with a bullet tip nib. These are brush tips, but you can get bullet tip nibs. So I can have a look for one in a little bit. They're hiding away somewhere there. But it's the same thing. A bullet tip is like a normal texter or marker nib. It's sort of a little round nib, and usually they do have a little bit of a point on the end of them. So you're still doing the same thing. You may need to hold the marker more upright to get a straighter point, or to get a thinner line, sorry. And pencils is exactly the same. So you're just doing the same technique with pencils as you would with marker. You can leave white areas in here, which helps with the highlights as well. So don't be too scared to just leave a white area. So here, this part of hair here at the back, we've got a piece of hair laying over it, but I really want to sort of, I guess I want to add in a bit of a highlight here, and I want to add one down here further. So I'm actually going to create my own shadow area in here. So because there's already a part of the shadow going over there, it's a good spot to sort of create my own. So I'm just going to flick out and then come back the opposite way as if we were doing the other sections. So now we've created some depth in that one section there, and we've allowed ourselves to be able to put some more texture up here and to put in a highlight area down here. Because it's such a long piece of hair, got a little bit of shadow here. So it looks like that hair sort of flying off the page a bit there. Coming back from the top now. The good thing about hair with features like this on it is it allows you to fill in more shadow areas so that you can actually create more texture through the hair. Come back up that one. So here, this is a really long section here. So I'm going to continue where that shadow is there out here. Just bringing that up there. And I'm going to come back the other way. Just so there's not too much of a gap between the strokes of the hair. So we're starting to create some nice depth there. And you can see now that the highlights are going to start to come down here. Just going to follow that one down as well. So you want to try and flick in the same direction the hair's going as well. Okay, so this one here, I'm just going to do another shadow line there. Just being careful not to go into the rest of the image either. Okay. So that's pretty much all I'm going to do now. So I'll just go over the whole hair and I'll just fill out those sections, marking out where I want my shadows to be and just flicking out. Looks like that bit of hair's flicking over her shoulder maybe there. Down here. Going to go back that way here because the hair's sort of bending, so there'll be a little bit of a shadow in there. Just remembering to follow the lines. Same down here. So there's a little bit of a bend there, but I actually do want a little bit of highlight. So that one's sort of coming underneath this section, but I might do the highlight right on that edge so it looks like it's actually higher than that back section. Coming down here now. So this is a reason I like the PDF version of the books better, because I like to print it on my own paper. So this is actually Express blending card, and I've just printed it out on there. And because larger images take a lot longer to do, I've actually done this. It's not quite an A5 or A4, sorry, page. Sort of done it on the edge of the page there. Okay, I think we're starting to, that side's getting almost done. There's a little bit of a shadow under there. I'm going to sort of create a little bit of a highlight there and then again here. So this bottom section is quite little, but just flicking up from there. And then I'm going to come from about the middle there. So now we've got a bit of a highlight in there and down here. Excuse me. Still getting over that flu that I had, so my voice is still a little bit croaky sometimes. Okay, so what I might do is just I'll finish this side and then you can have a look how it sort of all comes together. I'm going to go in now with still using E colors. Oh, sticker's not very good there. But yeah, I'm doing E. I'm just reading your comments. Sorry, I keep forgetting to look up. EO8 is a brighter brown, so it's more orangey. So I'm not going to put too much in, but I just want to sort of flick these lines out a little bit further. So Loretta was just asking about the shadow areas and where to put them. I kind of just look at it and I think about, okay, I'll go to a bit that I haven't colored first, just show you here. So her hair is actually coming around there. So if you have a think about that, this part here of the hair is actually going to be a little bit closer to you on that edge, and also it's closer to any light source as well. So there would be my highlight area. So I would make sure that I work my darker areas. So here it sort of dips down. So down is dark and up is light. So coming down into the down areas here and then up would be a little bit lighter, and this is down again and a little bit lighter in the middle there. So that's sort of how I look at it. And I'll just say, if the hair is too long in one section, I'll try and split it up a little bit to where, so for example, this part here is going to look quite different because it's got shadows here going that way and then shadows going that way, but that's the way the hair is sort of sitting. So the longer pieces, as I've done over here, this part here was a bit of a shadow, so I've sort of extended that up the hair to go in a bit of a diagonal angle up into the hair, and then I've got some sort of lighter areas here which are actually sitting over the top of the other hair. So think about it as in the deep areas, so dips is dark, and then your highlight areas or your hills or mountains are going to be light. So I hope that helps. Just pull out a little bit because you're missing some of it there. There we go. Okay, so you've got your valleys, mountains, dips, highs, whatever, lows, highs. But just remember the low or deep or low, deep dips, dark areas. So doing this side again, just filling in. So I've got E08. Just going over the top of the previous flicks I'm doing, but I'm not trying to sort of go or cover exactly over the previous ones. I'm just doing it naturally how it wants to come out. So I'm not concentrating on going over that specific line only. I'm just kind of flicking over and creating some more texture through there. So there's some lighter lines through those shadow areas. It's almost exactly the same color, so I'm not going to do too much of that one. It's only slightly lighter. Just going over the top. I'm not making these flicks too much longer. Some of them are a bit longer than the previous ones. Some of them are shorter. It looks like most of that little strand there is going to be dark. And then back that way. So some of those sections are already starting to fill in, and that's okay. Because we've got like five colors there, we want to leave a little bit of room for the remaining colors anyway, so just that one there. A little bit at the top here, creating some more thin lines. And obviously up here at the top here is going to be darker because it's right at the back of the head there, and that headrest is sitting right over that. So sort of up there a little bit. Having a problem disorientating, having my screen's actually backwards. It's a little bit disorientating sometimes. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. I probably haven't gone over all of it, and that's okay, because it's going to create some more texture anyway. Now I've gone real orange here, so I've picked some YR colors. I've got YR07, which is almost, I think it's second darkest. I think there is a YR09, so, and I'm just going to do exactly the same thing. So coming out, flicking that marker over the top of and in between, it doesn't really matter. I think this one's actually running out. That'll be right. Okay, give me 2 secs and I'll refill it. I'm going to get my fingers dirty because it's quicker. So the refills come in little packs. This one actually hasn't been refilled before. That I keep standing up in my drawer just in case they leak. They're pretty good though. They just come in with a nozzle. You can buy needles to refill them as well. And there's little tweezer things to take the nibs out. I just took the chiseled end out. If you want to see the chiseled end, there. And I'm just going to drop some of these into that there. With the smaller ones, they probably only hold about 10 to 12 drops. I've done up to 20 when it's been absolutely dry, but you don't want to go too much because it will come seeping out of the bottom if you put too much in. So I've just popped the cap back on now. Look at that. I've got dirty fingers now. The life of an artist. Coming back now. Okay. So you can already see, maybe not. Now here it comes. There we go. So adding in the lighter color over the top of the previous color, just extending this further down. So making them a little bit longer than what we previously did the previous color. So what we're trying to do is gradually build up to the highlight section with the lighter colors. Hair usually takes me the longest, but I don't mind. Also too, just refilling that marker reminded me, if it's a little bit, so if you've just got a new marker, there, so if you get a new one and it seems to be really juicy and wet, just make sure that you take the cap off the other side because it evens, which I might actually do because now it's getting a little bit too thick. So I'm only going to get this side finished because we've only got 15 minutes, but you guys will be able to fill out the rest. But what I will do is I'll record the rest on camera and I'll put up a speed coloring or the rest of the full video into the event on the event page so you can have a look at it. And it also will be here on my channel as well, so you'll be able to have a look at it at any time. Okay, so I think I've gone over most of that. Just missed a bit at the top there. You really see that orange red come through now. Okay, so I'm going to use some YR16. And I'm just going to go in. So we've only got one more highlight color. So I've missed a little bit there. Hang on. One more color. So I want to make sure I still leave a fair bit of highlight section in there. But we are going to be covering up most of the area with this now. So we're just going to come in over the top, just starting at the top there. So some of these marks will actually go off into the other side now. So just flicking the marker out. So if you want to practice with hair, Jen has some beautiful images with lots of hair. So have a go. Also doing fur helps with flicking if you want to practice flicking your marker out. Fur is a good one to do as well. So I'm going over the top of all those colors as well. And it's taking a little bit longer to dry because that marker is actually building up inside the paper there. So it will take a little bit longer for the top layer to dry. And that's why it's a little bit shiny there. Just getting the edge there. I'm really rough too. I'm not being precise or carefully planning it out. I'm just sort of being rough and just flicking it in there. There will be another highlight coming off the page there, so but because we can't see that, just flicking right to the edge. Okay, and down the bottom here. Can you see how it's starting to look shiny now? We haven't filled out all of the colour, but these sections here are your shiny higher parts and these are your lower parts there. Sometimes the lightest colour will make in markers, the lightest colour will make these colours a little bit desaturated, I guess. So you may need to go back in with the darkest colour at the end and just re-deepen up those shadow areas. I actually haven't gone into the shadow areas too much with that lighter colour for this one because I wanted to be able to sort of finish this side for you. But so the colours are still quite deep, but you may find that they'll be a little bit lighter if you go over with these lighter colours. So I'm using YR12. So we've gone from 9, 7, sorry, 9, 8, 7, 6, and now I've just jumped to the 12, which is the lowest one. There is zeros, ones, and things, or twos. So you could go a different color if you wanted to. I've just picked this one because it's nice and light, and it's a pretty orange color. I'm actually just going to flick over roughly over those highlighted sections. Still leaving sometimes some white gaps, which is fine. Creates that little bit more light through there. Just kind of finishing it off, I guess. Just going to fill that in because it's right on the edge. So how pretty is she? See, now I've done that red hair, it's going to give me something, a base to sort of go off the rest of the image now as well. So I usually do start with hair and the skin so I can sort of run with the look. Now with the eyebrows there, I'm just going to go in with, so I use the E09, I'm going to use some E07, just filling it up and over. And then a little bit of the YR12 on the tops. Just pushing, when you put that lighter color on, I'm just sort of pushing out the darker colors to the edges a bit more. So eyebrows are for me, or something that I didn't explain clearly enough just then. I can quickly answer those before we head off, but make sure you pop over and check out the event if you're not in the event and you've just noticed that I'm live. So I have put that in the top of the comments too. So if you want to pop over and have a look at all the other videos from today, you can go ahead and do that. Also, I've put the link for the digital version of the book and also the Amazon link in the description on this video as well. So you can pop over and have a look at that too. And thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me and asking me to come along and do this demonstration. It's awesome, and I love having these type of opportunities and meeting new people. So hi, if you don't know me, and thanks, Randy. So I do like to do some live videos every now and then. So if you want to subscribe, go ahead and do that because when I pop up new videos, you'll be able to see that. And when I go live, also too, you're welcome to come along and join my group on Facebook. And also, if you want to join Jen's coloring group on Facebook, I've popped a link for that and also her page in the description below as well. So you can check her out, have a look at all of her other books, which I have done flip throughs and reviews of already. So check out some of the other videos there as well. So I haven't got any other questions yet. Thank you, Jen, for having me, and no problems. I can't wait to finish her, actually, now that I've started to fill those bits in. Sometimes it gets a bit like, what am I going to do on this picture? And then once I put in that hair, I know what I'm going to do. So I'm pretty excited about this one. I think I'm going to put some blues and purples through there now. So look out for those strange and interesting looking frogs, because I don't know what they'll be. But yeah, I've had so much fun, and I can't wait to have a look through. I know Maria Payne's coming up, or has done something, or has popped in and said hello, and I don't know how to pronounce the other lady's name. I do apologize if you are watching, because I absolutely loved your beautiful pictures. They're all beautiful. I love them all. Anyway, I don't think anyone else has got any other questions. So thank you. Thank you to everyone who is watching. And thank you to everyone who has already subscribed to me and who is already following along. You guys are the backbone of all of our why we do what we do. So yeah, I'm going to sign off in a sec. So if you do have any questions, please ask in the comments on the event as well. And also here, there'll be comments available here as well. So thanks again, guys.